Okay, so first of all, I want to thank, a big thanks to our sponsors. Without them, this event wouldn't be possible. So thank them. I want to thank them all one more time. And I think Kemal introduced me, so there is no need that I talk more about myself. However, if you think that you have a question related to the topic, related to Agile or related to Bosnia Agile organization, please contact me in one of the following ways at the bottom of the slide. I'll be happy to answer all your questions. Okay, so we are talking today about customers. Let's see first, who are customers actually? Customers are people who have idea and who need a team, a development team or team of people actually doing the development or similar profession to make their idea come true. So customers are people actually who want a cake. They do have money to pay for the cake. However, they do not know what the ingredients are, and to be honest, they do not have to know that. And they do not know what process needs to be undertaken in order to get that cake. And they also don't know how much time is necessary to prepare and to bake a cake. However, they know that they do need that cake in 2 hours. And that's the only thing that they care about. And after a while, after some time, when they get what they requested, when they get a cake, a chocolate cake, that they, let me see if this works, yeah, that they actually explained at the very beginning, and when they tried a piece of it, they actually realized that the chocolate cake is not a cake that they actually wanted. They realized that the fruit cake is a cake that they wanted. Okay, we are good with that also, we are fine with that. However, what happened with time, money, and customer happiness? In the end, there is no time, no enough money anymore to bake another cake, and of course, customer is no longer happy. So this is the kind of people that we deal with every single day. And what we want to make actually is to make these people happy, because they're not guilty that they do not know what they want. They just not, let's say, they have idea, but they hire us to make their idea come true and actually to realize what they actually want. Okay, so this is a chart. It's actually made, this is just little, these small charts provide you information about the origin of the data based on which this chart was created. And the chart was created based on by using the data that I use for my PhD research, Information Systems Project Success, where customer actually was recognized as one of the critical success factors for a project. However, that's not something that I'm talking about today. I just use this data to see actually how customer collaboration influences the project, to see what the percentages are here. So let's mention one more time that this data was collected by interviewing people and sending them different surveys. So both qualitative and quantitative analysis was made. 30% from the American region and 62% for European region. And most of them were, of course, software developers and QA engineers. Others, 51%, and others include mainly product managers and business analysts and customer-related people. All of them have experience mainly between 11 and 15 years, which is really good. It shows that the results can be really good because people do know what they talk about. So what did we get? Actually, we got that the success rate for test is exactly 666 projects. The success rate was only 48%, which is not much, not at all. Almost a half, but that is not enough. Other projects were challenged or failed completely. 52% failure plus challenge. I think that something about 30% is complete failure out of these 52%. And I wanted to see how customer collaboration, how was the customer collaboration actually within this 52%. And the results show that customer collaboration was completely unsuccessful in 61 of tested projects. So you can see actually how it affects the project success. So let's see what happened in Bosnian IT community, as we actually both work with this kind. Oh, I lost percentages for some reason. Okay, never mind. Okay, the results here are a little bit better, but still not enough. On a global level, we have success rate 48%, but here success rate for Bosnian companies is 58%, still not good enough. Failure and challenge is 42%. So out of those 42%, in whole 62% of projects, the customer collaboration was not successful at all. The remaining was successful, but still it was not sufficient due to other critical factors to make these projects successful. So when talking to these people, I asked them actually, so in terms of a customer collaboration, so what is the biggest problem that you're dealing with? And they all said customer requesting changes, different changes, very often that are too costly, not requested on time, and really difficult or almost impossible for implementation. And that actually results in many delays, and they characterize their projects, mainly projects that almost never end due to these change requests. So, are customers ready for Agile? Not only that they are ready for Agile, but Agile was put to use in product development because of customers, yet they are not aware of it. And why? Because Agile sees customers as a missing piece in development process. It's actually in traditional methods. So Agile increases the customer involvements, and in that way reduces the risk of project failure. So Agile keeps customers in loop all the time. Agile makes them not only realize what they want, but Agile makes customers realize what they actually need and keeps them on the right track in that way. So in traditional methods and methodologies actually involve customers mainly at the beginning and at the end of the project. In Agile, actually Agile says instead of dealing with the deep contract negotiations, what we need is actually real customer involvement. So in Agile, we seek for customer feedback and inputs throughout a project. So we need customers' inputs for planning, for prioritizations, for trade-off decisions, and for demonstrations in the end. And all of this together leads us, all of us and our teams, to many benefits, out of which the most important ones are accurate delivery and happy customer satisfaction, which is actually the main goal of this whole story. Okay, but how is it accomplished? How can we accomplish that? Well, Agile says, instead following a detailed plan, be flexible and willing to change. So Agile provides opportunity to reassess and change the direction of project while it is in motion. And how is that possible? Well, you're doing development within iterations, and at the end of every iteration, you offer a demo, a review that a customer can attend, and based on which he can find out again what he wants and request some changes, even though they could affect other features or potentially the project timeline. But that is all okay as long as it can be managed in a proper way. Because why is it a better solution? Isn't it cheaper to throw away one layer of a cake instead of a whole cake? So the maximum that you can lose working with Agile methodology, respecting the Agile methodologies, is 1 month actually, as the sprint time box is maximum 4 weeks. That is the maximum that you can use, and you never lose whole month. Okay, and most importantly, I forgot one thing, most importantly, number 7, working software is the primary measure of progress. So no detailed, long spreadsheets, reports, Excel files, and I don't know what else. So instead, all of this, what we want is a working software. Working software will prove our work. Okay, while working on the research that I mentioned, I ran into one product manager from Ecuador. He had 14 years of professional experience, and it happened last year. Actually, these data are all from the last year, so 2013. And who said, he was commenting the project whose beginning was very, very bad. It was most likely to fail, but in the end, it was successful. And he said that the change to Agile the appropriate change to Agile methodologies was part of their success. And speaking of appropriate application of Agile methodologies, before we continue with customer collaboration within development process of the product, I want to define to clarify the definition of customer as a role in Scrum. So while working on the research and afterwards, you probably read a lot of blogs and you see many times, I mean, I saw that many times at least, many blogs say, and documentation that I was able to find online, it says that customers are in Agile. Customers are responsible for backlog refinement. Customers are responsible for managing the product backlog. They're responsible for writing the acceptance criteria, for working with teams on the estimation, etc., etc., etc. That is absolutely not true. So, if we take a look at this picture, at this image, which describes the Scrum. While talking about Agile, as you could notice, I'm relying on Scrum as a framework. That's why I'm mentioning here Scrum. So if you take a look at this image, you will notice three main roles that Scrum defines: product owner, development team, and Scrum Master. As you can see, there is no customer as a role, because Scrum does not define customer as a role. So customer is not responsible for the product backlog. Customers are not responsible for the prioritization, direct prioritization of the product backlog, nor for the writing of the acceptance criteria. Those are the responsibilities of the product owner, who is a voice of a customer. So that is product owner's responsibility. So please avoid all those confusions. I hope that people who wrote all those blogs had something else in mind. They probably were thinking that the teams were looking at the product owner as a customer, because it's the perfect situation if the product owner comes from the customer side. And why? Because product owner, as a voice of a customer, must know a business domain. He must be a subject matter expert. And the closer he is to the customer, the most likely it is that he will know all those stuff. So product owner is a person who needs to have a vision and who has to have like enough of skills and knowledge, I could say, to convert those vision into value. Value for the customer, value for the supplier company, and value for the people working on that project. And as a product owner actually, they need to ensure the team has four main things from the customers, which are customer knowledge, customer involvement, customer requirements, and in the end, customer feedback. Okay, so can a customer be a product owner himself? Of course, he can fulfill that role that Scrum defines himself. It would be, again, a perfect situation, because no one else can know the business domain better than a customer. However, remember the first slides. Customers are people who know what they want at the moment they see actually what they never wanted but requested at the beginning. Pretty complicated sentence, and that is how the mind of customers work. So and most of the time they cannot keep focus, and they somehow cannot organize all their requests and the ways in which they want their products to work. Therefore, you will find it is very rare to happen that customer himself is a product owner. And one more thing, yeah, for a product owner, customers can be also end users, stakeholders, management, so any kind of a role on the company, on the customer side, sorry, that he can take advantage of in the terms of opinions and ideas, actually. So it doesn't have to be a customer primarily who is paying for the project and the work of the people working on it. So this is really a perfect situation. However, in most of the cases, it is not possible to have it in this form because of the distributed teams, distance problems, distance factors, or lack of time commitment of a product owner who comes from the customer side. And sometimes product owners just do not know the process, the agile methods actually that well to be able to work with the teams from a distance. Therefore, in practice, this is something that works pretty well. So product owner comes from a supplier company, and he actually needs to have all the characteristics that this product owner must have. So nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the location, the physical location of a product owner. Now he comes from the supplier company, he's close to the team, and he can feel actually the atmosphere and everything. He doesn't have to be that close to the team, but he needs to be closer than the one that comes from the customer side if he doesn't have enough time to pay attention to the team. And also, this product owner has to ensure all the things that I mentioned in the previous slide, and he needs to be in constant contact with the customer company, with the customer side, actually. Sometimes, in case of large customer teams and large number of customers, it is just not possible to make it in an efficient way. Therefore, there is this scenario that is also something that you see very often in practice, where customers have like a customer proxy or role that they call differently, but who has actually all the knowledge that customers have and who is available for the product owner who comes from the supplier company that he can talk to whenever it is necessary. So the only goal is to provide enough information, enough requirements, enough ideas and what customers need to development teams and the product owner, of course. Okay, so any kind of the scenario in which you will organize these roles, it works. It only depends on the circumstances that you're dealing with. So any scenario works as long as it will make you overcome, it will make your team overcome the biggest challenge of Agile that Agile is facing with these days. So as you could see in Scott Ambler's speech this morning, his lecture this morning, where he showed a graph which says that not that large percentage of companies are still do according to traditional methods. So all of this, see that there is something wrong, I mean that it's not getting them success. So all of them mainly tend to become agile and iterative in some way. However, when they read the Agile Principles, these are the ones that they like the most. So it says, welcome change requirements even late in development, responding to change over following a plan, working software over detailed documentation. And how it sounds in their ears. Okay, so we don't have to make any plans. So we can make the changes all the time. We can define what we need at the moment that people start working on it. So that is definitely not Agile. That is Scarlett O'Hara methodology, actually, who says, I'll think about that tomorrow. So in Agile doesn't mean that you don't have to plan anything. The biggest, even during the research, people were mainly complaining and finding the reasons of failure in planning phase. It is like the crucial phase of the project success. So the focus must be brought back to the planning phase. Agile never says do not plan. It says plan, but in short terms, but have that short-term plans ready on time. Agile is responsibility. Being agile is a responsibility because you need to be dynamic. You have to be on time. There is whole process waiting there on your decisions. So it is a great responsibility, however, a responsibility that will definitely bring you success. However, customers, we cannot blame them actually for not being that on time. They have different backgrounds. Lately, I've been dealing with customer who is a passionate hunter, and sometimes in his background he has like 15 years of experience in telecommunications, and the other day we showed him a proposal of a mock-up of 1 page in the site so that he can approve to see if he likes the design or not. And when we showed them the sprint plan next week for the upcoming 2 sprints, he just freaked out. And why? He thought when he saw a mock-up that it's only 1 or 2 hours necessary to build it all. He thought it was already in production. So he's not aware of the process. He cannot know as a hunter. He deals with deers and elks and all those wild animals. He cannot know actually what the agile process is or what development process is, or all the steps that need to be undertaken in order to publish, to push something live actually. So educate your customers before you start working with them. Tell them we're working following the agile methodology, Scrum framework. This is how it works. I do that actually. I've sent a bunch of emails to that customer, and he's in the learning phase, and they're actually willing to learn. He's so excited about learning new things. We just need to explain it to them. He now knows when we define a sprint, there is no way that he can change a sprint goal. Okay, everything is, I don't know, burning out there. However, he protects the sprint goal himself because he knows all the impacts that it will make later on his product, that it will not bring him success. We need to explain our customers that being on time and having at least 2 sprints planned in advance and being disciplined will actually, we do not make all that plans only to make life easier for development teams. We need to explain them that we do all of that to make a product successful and to bring a business success to those customers, which will actually save their time and money. So educate your customers, talk to them all the time, so they cannot and never expect them to learn everything. So just the basic things like what the sprints are, what the sprint velocity is, what the estimations are, they need to know that. So to be aware that they really need to provide the requirements, I mean, their ideas and requests on time so that the product owners can work on the requirements. Otherwise, we'll get to a chart like this. And this is a real project example. I've been working on this project, not that proud of it actually, but I've been working on this project lately for the past 16 weeks. And this is the story. So you see, this line, this chart represents the sprint velocity actually for a project. So it started with 0. Of course, you can guess, we didn't have any requirements defined. As the customer, he knew he wanted something, but he just couldn't be clear with himself what his first priority is. So the team was like not that busy a whole 2 weeks. It continued more or less another 2nd sprint, 3rd sprint, 4th sprint especially. We did some work, but not enough. And suddenly, 5th sprint, 47 story points. So here in 3rd and 4th sprint, actually, customer provided the team with his requirements. We got all the wireframes we needed, so we were able to work, and all the work that was pushed back from the previous sprints was actually done within 5th and 6th sprints, and that is why these sprints have 47 and 30 points. After one piece of work was done, the defined piece of work was done, again, customer became very lazy, and you can see sprint 7, 3, sprint 8, 1, and last week we got the wireframes from the designer actually. the customer finally clarified with himself what he actually needs, and I expect to have 9th and 10th sprint like 50 and 40 story points. And you can see that this story is repeating. So we need to work with this customer. We need to work with the product owner and the Scrum Master actually to give some lectures to that customer to explain them actually what the problem with this project is. It's too complex project, and there are too many parts of the product backlog, and each of them have different product owner. However, there is no chief product owner. So for each of those product owners, their part of the product backlog is like the most important one, and they cannot compare it with other parts, with other with the things that other product owners are responsible for, because there is a chief product owner missing. Product owner is always one person. It can be a whole committee actually, but there is always one chief product owner who can say, okay, this has higher priority than this thing. So you need to have, in very complex projects, you need to have a chief product owner who will help you make this line a bit better. But just like I started, that is actually product owner's responsibility to make their customers be on time. So customers as themselves, the customers, the nature of customers, according to the research that I was working on, is only 12%, not their involvement in the everyday task or something like that, but the nature of a customer and the way in which they think actually. The remaining 88% is the way in which product owner will involve customers in the process. Just like we said, customers cannot know. We cannot expect them to be there. Hey, we have sprint planning. I need to ensure you have enough information for the backlog refinement sprint planning. It's product owner's actual responsibility to make sure that customer provides all those information. My colleague, again, while working on the research, my colleague from the United States, there's something wrong with these slides. Software, you can see a whole slide, software engineer, 15 years of professional experience, and he was commenting a project that completely failed. And he said, this project was an example of a cliche. You start programming and I'll go find out what they want. So this red one is a sentence of the product owner on that project. And when you say the project owner, that when Scrum Master reacts actually and tries to make the product owner work in a more efficient way, they say, I'm being agile, so I don't have to plan in advance, you know. No, you're not being agile, you're being Scarlett O'Hara again. You need to have at least 2 sprints ready. Okay, you can make changes later, however, you need to have something that you can that you can make changes to. So you always need to have at least 2 sprints ready. And also, besides, after educating your customers, help your customers. So do not ask them what they want. Always remember the first slide. They thought they wanted a chocolate cake, however, they wanted a fruit cake. Never ask them what they want. Ask them what are the problems that they're willing with and how they're actually living with them now. So instead of what do you want, ask them what actually is the problem that you have right now in your current version of the product that you use. So help your customers and help them build the roadmaps. Okay, now customers in development phase, we also need our customers to be present in development phase. However, they will help us very often by staying away from the development phase and only answering, being available for answering questions about the sprint backlog and the things that, tasks that teams are working on during the sprint. For all other things like changing the requirements, changing the sprint goal, we need them to stay away from the sprint backlog and changing it. So answering the questions only is 9% of the success of development phase. So this is again product owner's responsibility. He needs to have all these answers. If not, for some reason, if they're not able to answer all those questions, they need to be able to contact customers as soon as possible. So development teams need those answers. And after that, of course, the control and verification phase. So those are the sprint reviews, not only the sprint reviews, but for the customer, but the biggest opportunity to give feedback is actually the sprint review. All those feedbacks that customers give during those hour or two that you use to make a demo, to do the demo for the customer, and all their comments are 15% of a control and verification of the success of control and verification phase. So 15 as a number doesn't seem, compared to 100, it doesn't seem as a big number, but if you compare it with the amount of sentences that your customer gives you as a feedback, in just 1 hour, you'll see, you'll realize, you'll understand that 15% is really very, very big percentage. So also, as a product owner and customer, make your customers, let them know that they can actually bring anyone they want to this sprint review. So it's not only the customer. They can bring some of their friends who are end users or stakeholders, anyone they think that would be capable of giving useful feedback or giving like opinion if they liked the piece, the increment, the piece of the product or not. And actually, another thing that is very useful that I've seen as very useful, and we try to, I'm not even sure if Scrum defines it as a nice practice. However, we found it as really, really useful. Make your development team, whole development team, be present in the sprint reviews, and make each team member, so make that they work in a way that every sprint, every other demo that you have every second or third week is performed by different team member. In that way, team members get a feeling that each of them is important actually, that each of them is part of some big picture and working on a success of some business, of some big project there, and they have a chance to hear all the feedbacks or the comments from the customers, which make actually the customer's goal, the whole product's goal, to become their personal professional goal. And it really works. So every sprint review, different team member to do the demo, even if it's, I don't know, developer or QA engineer or a designer, it doesn't depend. And it also makes all the team members to be familiar with all application, with all the product, and not only the piece that they are working on. So it really works. I can suggest it definitely. Okay, so we still, after all this story, we still have this chart, which is not good at all, and it needs to be fixed. And I think that you're the right people to fix this chart so that after 6 or 7 years, after I do all the analysis that I can do with the current data that I have, when I start collecting new data, I expect that new data will have like success rates for projects at least 80%. That is what customers need, that's what supplier companies need, and in the end, that's actually something that we as IT professionals need. So I'm ready for questions or answers, if any.
What is the difference between the business analyst in a classical methodology and product owner? In the Agile methodology, as I understood so far, product owner is the single point of contact with the
Exactly.
business side, with the customer side. So he or she is getting the responsibility of responsibility in terms of requirements, business use cases, etc. whatsoever. In other methodologies like waterfall or any other methodologies, there are more than sometimes one business analyst, and business analysts are mainly a part of the IT team. What is the, let's say...
Okay, I understood the question, I understood your point. Okay, so business analyst as a role is not defined in the Scrum. However, you can have, so it is actually product owner's responsibility from the business side to make sure the team has all the requirements they need. However, it's not rare to find that teams, Scrum development teams in Scrum have a business analyst assigned. Because product owner has his plate full of communication with the customer, dealing with the customer, dealing with thinking about proposals that he can make to a customer to improve the product that everyone is working on. Therefore, and he is responsible, product owner is responsible for the core definition, for the definition, general definition of epic user user stories. However, he's actually the one who will define the requirements on a global level. However, there is a time that it is necessary to spend a lot of time to make each user story be defined really, really detailed, so that, okay, product owner can have it in their mind together with the business analyst. However, there's a time that is necessary to write it all down for developers that they can use it later, and for quality assurance engineers. And if product owner themselves, if they don't have time to work on a detailed clarification, writing the user stories and maybe drawing some wireframes, in that case, they get a business analyst to work with them, just to clarify those user stories in more details a little bit. However, business analysts are not the ones who make decisions. Those are the product owners, make decisions about the product. And there can be, and they're part of the Scrum, of the development team, of that actually role in Scrum. It's not mandatory, however, only if product owner needs help with writing, the user stories, as the product owner does not. He needs to ensure that user stories are there for the development team. However, they do not have to primarily sit down and write them down. Just need to define them, and they can have business analysts to go into details.
Okay, when I was collecting the requirements, business requirements, and also to avoid scope creeping,
Mm-hmm.
the business analyst plus product owner is attending the meetings with all stakeholders?
Product owner.
Only the
Product owner, yes. Yeah, because business analysts actually, as part, the development teams in Scrum actually care about only the defined stuff, defined user stories. And business analyst is part of the development team. And the product owner is a role that is a person who is talking about the ideas, about possibilities, about changing the opinions, dealing with the customer opinions, etc. So everything that happens in those meetings with the customer doesn't have to mean that it will be a final requirement, It happens very often that customers just give up on some functionality. And that is not actually the story that business analyst primarily has to hear. He can be there, they can be there. However, it's not, those meetings are not that useful for the business analysts. They need to work on the things that are decided to definitely go in one of the sprint backlogs in future.
In my perspective, this is the weakness of Agile process in terms of analysis, but the strength is, I think, for example, if some things are missing in terms of requirements, or let's say some misunderstandings, then they can be recovered in the second, third, fourth sprint.
Yeah, exactly.
There is always an artifact by the end of every sprint.
Of course. Of course, I definitely agree. Thank you for the questions. Any other questions? Okay, in that case, thank you very much. I think we're all ready for the prizes now and for the draw, so please join us in the hall.